Everything you do in construction, right, is being observed. Construction has its very unique culture. I'll tell you a quick when in Rome story. I was 26 years old and a sales rep for a chemical company. We retailed our products in Home Depot. I go to the divisional offices in Tampa. I walk up for my first visit. You know the old medical office, those sliding windows that kind of grind like the obscured glass, you know, squeaking across? So the receptionist slides the glass across. She sees me. I say, I'm here to see so-and-so. And she looked at me. I swear to God, she goes like this. She kind of gave me a quick head to toe, and then she goes, just like that. I said, huh? I look over her shoulder. She goes like this. Everybody in that office is wearing blue jeans and an orange apron. Everybody. And I was there in a suit. I left. I ran to my hotel. I changed. I went back and I had my meeting. They would have laughed me out. They would have laughed because what the thought process is, you don't understand my world. Everything you do is being evaluated, what you drive. There was a lady named Stephanie in South Florida, and she was a wonderful lady. And I say was, she sadly passed about 10 years ago. But she had an independent repping business, right? A sales repping business. So for a lot of smaller vendors that can't afford to maintain their own sales staff, they might hire an independent representative, right? And Stephanie had, about 24 or 30 or so companies in South Florida. And she was as well connected at corporate offices. I may even have to tip my cap to her and say she was ahead of me in that regard, right? I thought I was the king. Well, if I was, she was the queen. She knew everybody and was beloved, but she was not welcome on job sites. She would show up on job sites in her 4-door Mercedes, sparkling, and step out in her high heels and her pleated skirt and her jewelry, and she looked magnificent. But to the builders on site, she doesn't know our world. It's perception. So when in Rome, right, be aware of your environment, how you dress. This is not the industry for me to go on a sales call in a jacket and tie, right? Nor should you walk in a pair of shorts, okay? How you communicate, the manner in which you communicate matters, and your understanding of our industry's terminology. If you're a buyer, Rick, if you're a buyer, and I'm side by side with a competitor and we're presenting to you, okay? And the first salesperson is an expert in their trade. They know their stuff lights out and you know that. The second person has equal knowledge. Same. But they also let you know they know construction. Which one reduces perception of risk more? Make sense? The understanding of how your trade ties into others, right? How flooring integrates with the cabinets and how we need to make sure, right? When you understand more than just the tip of your nose, you become more valuable and it reduces perceived risk. So what I did on job sites, I always made sure that I learned construction. And in the beginning, I didn't know much. In the mid-90s. I remember on site the first time I got schooled. I was talking to the superintendent, the sliding glass door, there's a reveal below it where we had to put our hurricane shutter hardware. Well, I was out there and the knucklehead poured his flat work too high, covered the bolts. So I'm talking to the super on site and referenced the patio and he goes, I was like, what? He goes, it's not a patio, Don, it's flat work. Oh, okay, flat work. Well, you know what? Now I know that when they pour concrete, it's called flat work, and it's not a foundation, it's a slab, it's a pad, right? I learned the jargon. So at the next job site, when I'm talking to the next superintendent, and I'm saying, well, you know, you got to make sure they give us the reveal, blah, 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 and make sure the guy doesn't pour the flat work over the snap line. You see what right? And then I had no problem asking questions, and I encourage you to also. I would say, what is that? Oh, well, that's a chase. What's a chase do? Oh, well, that's where we run the ducks and what? Oh. And I just kept learning and I kept learning. And after a few years, I learned enough and I had enough experience and I went and sat for my Florida GC exam. When I then go to tell a builder, I'm not just your hurricane shutter guy, but I'm also a GC, what does that do to the perception of risk? It's even lower. You with me? It's got its own culture. And by the way, so does every builder. Every builder feels different. They've got their own vibe. Don't change your values, but change your behaviors, right? When you go in there. Match their pace. It's called mirroring. You know, you kind of, but I will just tell you, professionalism always travels. Meaning, if you're on point and you're sharp, it doesn't matter the environment, you kind of maintain that constant, right? But just be aware, the K-Hov office doesn't have the same vibe as the Horton office, doesn't have the same vibe as the Toll Brothers or a local builder. Everyone's got their own culture and you learn it. Build on relationships, not price. Low price creates replaceability. I always said that I slept well at night because nobody was stealing my business, because I knew that I was not hired on my price. You want to tattoo another one to your brain? Right there. If you get hired on price in our industry, you will get fired on price. Because if you're hired on price, what are they buying from you? Your price. Someone inevitably is going to come in a nickel cheaper. That's just the way of the world, especially in our industry. So if I only sold on price, it's a matter of time. I'm kind of restless. I slept like a baby because I knew that my business was protected because we performed. You've got to perform in the field. Price-only vendors are interchangeable. It's a short play. It's a short mentality, strong builder relationships. I always visualize this as a two-pronged approach. Field and office. One or the other is not enough to be bulletproof. If purchasing doesn't like you, but the field does, they don't have enough clout to sway them, usually. What I wanted was purchasing to go, hey, do you want these? Oh yeah, I want them. I want to make it easy for them to award me the next job site. Does that make sense? And it also protects your margins. You'll get the benefit of the doubt. And again, consistency builds credibility. Look, builders are not stupid. They're risk managers. Again, they're going to assess every project. Are there builders that are price only? Yeah, we're not talking about them. Builder relationships will yield margin. They will also protect you when you inevitably screw up or one of your guys does something stupid on the job site, like back his dually up to the house to unload his storm panels when it was sodded the day before. Yeah, that happened.